Alright, I'm in the middle of a colossal research project right now. I really don't want to interrupt it, but something happened today and it irritated the fuck out of me. So I'm gonna make a video out of it. So this is in response to a post made on the Georgism subreddit. It doesn't matter the content of the post, because what matters is how they responded to it. I said, first principles, I refuse to make any natural rights arguments. Provided you can establish that one state of being is better for society than another, then you have a basis on which to argue the objective superiority of one model over another. Jeremy Edwards 20XX, the post creator, said, natural rights just means rights based in reason. Now, if you've read anything whatsoever on the topic of natural rights, you would know this is bullshit. Because literally, natural rights means rights based on nature. That's literally why it is called natural rights. He argues that because it is based in nature, it is reasonable to value natural rights. You could retroactively redefine literally any term using this reasoning. I could say, well, theism, belief in God, just means a belief based in reason. That's bullshit. No, it's literally about a belief in God. That doesn't imply it's reasonable. You can argue that we reason from a belief in God, and you can include that in a definition for theism, that you determine things based on reason through a perspective in which you view the world as dictated by a God. But that says nothing whatsoever that you can just axe off God from the definition and say that it's about reason, or that it is reasonable. And so I say, I see nothing reasonable about natural rights. They're as fictitious as God. And they say, I don't really care what you think is fictitious, which immediately just, excuse me? The definition of natural rights is rights derived through reason. Now, because they seem to be wanting to die on this hilltop, I decide to confront them on that, and point out that, in fact, no, you are quite literally wrong. Oh, that's a convenient redefinition. No, natural rights are rights derived from nature. If you meant reasonable rights, then say that. And they respond condescendingly, honestly, how hard is it to go to Wikipedia? And they say, historically, natural law refers to the use of reason to analyze human nature to deduce binding rules of moral behavior from nature's or God's creation of reality and mankind. Notice how the only thing substantiating their claim is literally just the first 9 words of the definition, not the rest of it. Natural law refers to the use of reason. Hard stop, forget the rest of the definition, which literally predicates everything else. Evidently, you don't know what you're opposing. And I say, honestly, because at this point, if you're going to be condescending to me, I'm going to be condescending back. How hard is it to read from nature's or God's creation? Evidently, you leave out the contingencies of definitions to suit your political agenda. Fuck off, you piece of shit. I'm not wasting any more time on low-effort obscurantism. And really, this is pretty low effort. This is low rent. Not to put a pun on it. Obscurantism. Fuck off. Come on, man. You're gonna give me that shit? You post the definition for me to fucking read, and then you only use part of it, and say, how hard is it to go to Wikipedia and use this quote I just quoted you? I quite literally did. This is throwing evidence against you in my face and telling me that I'm wrong. What the fuck is wrong with you? And they say, nature's creation is a reference to evolution. What? And notice how there is an or between God/evolution as the basis for natural rights. Yeah, because some people believe that natural rights, nature, is created by God. If you oppose reason and evolution as a basis for rights, now look at what the fuck he just did there. He's accusing me of opposing reason and evolution. He has summarily thrown a red herring into the middle of the argument. Nowhere did I argue against reason or against evolution. He specifically redefined the subject and ignored my correction of his redefinition in order to push a point that I am against reason or I am in denial about evolution. If you oppose reason and evolution as a basis for rights, then good luck to you. Obviously, you're too angry to admit you had no idea what you were even talking about, so I'll settle for reporting you. Now, it's not clear at all that from his post that he took exceptional offense for me calling him a piece of shit, but at this point, what am I supposed to take from that except that he heard my argument, I criticized him, he has no response to it other than more obscurantism and bullshit, and so he proceeds to report me for it. That's rational. So, nature's creation is a reference to evolution. Absolutely baseless and irrelevant assertion. It refers to nature, as in the bounty of nature, the products of nature, of natural law. The etymology of your term is fucking evading you. And notice how there is an or between God and evolution as a basis for natural rights. Yes, to contrast theistic views from non-theistic views, which are being lumped in, I might add, because rights purportedly derived from either are magical, which is my argument. Now, he's not actually challenging my arguments that they're magical. He could do that. He could honestly ask me why I believe they're magical, and I could simply say, well, because there is no evidence that natural rights exist in nature. And if you say that natural rights come from God, I could say, well, there's no evidence of God. That's all I really need to say. But he's not interested in that conversation. He's not interested in having the door slammed in his fucking face as easily as it could be done. Instead, he insists on maliciously undermining my statements, misrepresenting me, and then crafting a narrative that I am in denial about evolution and I oppose reason. Literally, the last person who did this kicked me off Twitter and reported me for it because they misrepresented my arguments because they were emotionally distraught. They're accusing me of being angry, and yet they're the ones lunging at the report button because I just threw their fucking argument back in their face and called them a piece of shit for it. If you oppose reason, I say, you're an obscurantist. You're either unfamiliar with the topic of natural rights and lying to protect your ego, or you do know and you're lying to perpetuate a political agenda. This is me, just for the record, being intellectually honest by offering two options. One, the more charitable option, which is that you're an idiot, or the less charitable option, which is you're an asshole. Now I mistype here and I say, neither of which are not reasonable, rational. I thought I edited out the not, but whatever. Reasonable, rational, intellectually commendable, or intelligent. You won't shame me into subscribing to your not even pseudoscientific worldview of self-ownership. It depends on insubstantial and vague predicates for which there is zero evidence, either rational or empirical, to support it. Now, I say self-ownership because I'm assuming this person is an anarchist. This is the angle from which they attack the subject. They're clearly approaching this topic from a conventional anarchist point of view. I'll settle for reporting you. Oh, you're a censor too. Well then, I completely agree with your stupid fairyland universe, where rights are literal physical objects. Clearly it's only reasonable to silence me for calling you a fucking idiot. Get bent, you piece of shit. Go back to Ancapistan. Now, obviously, this is me being hostile. I concede to that. I used mean words in my response. And I used those mean words because the guy was being intellectually dishonest, and as proof of that, his immediate response to this point-by-point deconstruction is he says, you sound angry, borderline racist. Two things with that. First, it's an ad hominem. Literally addresses none of my points and makes a personal attack instead. That is the definition of an ad hominem fallacy. That's garbage. That is intellectual diarrhea of the mind. And in addition to that, his personal attack is entirely nonsensical, as he accuses me of being racist. And nothing in my post says anything whatsoever about race. Literally nothing anywhere in any of my posts on Reddit can be construed as that. You are out of your fucking gourd. And yet, in support of this fucking piece of shit, our wonderful moderator, 5587026, says, your comments have been removed because they violate rule number 1. Content may not be uncivil against another person or group of people. Please do not comment in this way again. Most certainly I was uncivil. 55, which I'm going to call you. I'm just going to call you 55. Most certainly I was uncivil. And I was uncivil because the person I was talking to was uncivil. They were seditiously, maliciously attempting to undermine my arguments, make intellectually dishonest points, and they demonstrably neglected any attempt to present a rational, even-tempered argument. Now, you didn't delete their posts, so I have to wonder. You have this rule in which I can't say mean words, essentially, right? I can't say mean words. But you can be intellectually dishonest. What that conveys to me, 55, is that as far as the Georgism subreddit is concerned, nobody gives a shit what you have to say, what you mean, or how fucking malicious, dishonest, and a fucking lying piece of shit you happen to be. It just matters what kinds of words you use. So I said piece of shit. Well, thanks. Shoot me for being the messenger for properly identifying a piece of shit. I identified for you somebody on your board who is not participating in discussion honestly, and you punish me for it. I don't appreciate that, and I will never appreciate that. Now, by all means, I concede, most forums, most boards, discussion boards, are not like this. They do not have rules against intellectually dishonest tactics or people committing brazen ad hominem fallacies. Some do, and I really appreciate the forums that do. Most don't, though, and it makes no fucking sense. It's a tendency towards political correctness. Because you don't actually care what the substance of someone is saying actually is. What you care about is how they say it. That's tone policing. I'm sorry if that was not a goal of your subreddit. If that was not a goal of your subreddit, my mistake. I will leave your subreddit. I will unsubscribe, and you'll not hear from me again. Alas, nobody will have to ever worry about Omnizoa, that abrasive asshole. They were worthless. They contributed nothing to the discussion. They just called people names and that was it. If that's the sort of narrative you'd like to go with, by all means, let me know. By making more of these posts, you're letting me know that. You're more concerned with how things are said than what is said. Personally, if it's enough to delete my posts because I posted mean words, I would like to think, at the very least, you would also have a rule against people using baseless ad hominems. Accusing people of things they have no evidence for example. Poisoning the well. Blatantly dishonest discussion tactics. This is a person who posted evidence refuting themselves and called my intelligence into question. Fuck off.